Hi guys, and welcome back to the series Thunderstorms, written and narrated by Stacey Holt. The artwork, I'm still unsure of who the artist is, so if any of you know who it is, please tag them for me so I can give them the credit that they need because it is amazing. As always, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you would like to support the series. Now, Chapter 2, Soaked. Ladybug detransformed and landed on her bed. She laid on her bed thinking for a couple of hours until Tiki floated over to Marinette. Tiki sighed as Marinette's tears soaked her pillow.
Marinette, he loves you too, you know. He's just blinded by your luck.
Tiki smiled, wiping her tears away.
My luck?
She sniffled.
Yes, just how you couldn't see Adrien as Cat Noir until you saw it with your own two eyes.
Then why can't he fall in love with this me, the real me?
Marinette, you're the same person. The only thing the Miraculous do is boost your fighting skills and abilities. We don't change who you are.
Tiki reassured her. Marinette wiped her tears and gave Tiki a hug, caressing her to her cheek.
Thanks, Tiki.
Marinette smiled.
You should talk to him again when you're ready. Maybe this time, explain what all happened. And tell him how you really feel,
Tiki said. You want me to tell him my identity?
No, silly. Confess to Cat Noir that you like him.
Tiki smiled. I don't like, well, I like Adrien, so that means I like Cat Noir, Marinette said softly, finally clearing enough thought to actually process that she liked Cat Noir then. She had already liked Cat, but she didn't think she liked him the same way as Adrien. Wow, this was news to her. She needed to not only process her new findings of her partner's identity, but she also needed to process her own thoughts and feelings before confronting Cat again. She heard a faint tap on the balcony window and climbed up. Instead of seeing Cat Noir like she normally did, she was greeted with a bunch of rain and storm clouds. As she opened it to see if he was outside, she had let the harsh downfall on herself and had drenched her entire body in a few seconds. Ah! How could it be sunny and bright outside and then a few hours later it's storming this bad? Marinette cried out.
Weather is a fickle thing,
Tiki laughed. Marinette smiled and flicked water on Tiki, who screamed out while giggling. They chased each other around the room until somehow another thump was heard above them, but this time was louder. That couldn't be Cat, would it? In this kind of weather? Surely he knows better than to stay in rain for this long. He could get sick. She climbed back up and unlatched the door, poking her head out just enough to see. She didn't open it all the way this time, so the water wouldn't pour down on her. She saw a dark ball shape sitting on the balcony chair and opened the little door just a little more to let light out.
Cat!
Marinette screamed.
Get in here now! You're getting soaked!
Cat walked in and sat down on the floor, leaving a little rain puddle beneath him. Something was off. He was quiet and didn't speak. Even his walk was different. Usually he would prance around happily, but now he was walking slowly, with no emotion at all. Could her talk with him as Ladybug do this? Was she too harsh on him? She knew she shouldn't have yelled at him because he was unaware of any of this, but still, it hurt to know he only loved one half of her. Marinette grabbed 2 towels from the bathroom and wrapped one around his torso and threw the other on top of his head.
There, dry up, kitty.
Marinette smiled, trying to act her usual self. She took hold of the towel and rubbed it around his head, making his hair fluffier than he probably would have liked, but he remained quiet.
Are you okay?
She asked. Cat looked up at her. His eyes were sad and melancholic. He stood up and walked towards her, making Marinette flustered. He wrapped his arms around her waist and rested his hand on top of her shoulders, pulling her in close. She could feel his body tighten as if he were trying his hardest to hold his emotions inside. She hurt him. She didn't mean to, but she hurt him. Marinette closed her eyes and wrapped her arms around him, feeling a tear or two slide down her own cheeks. This was all she ever wanted. She wanted his affection. She yearned for his touch. She loved everything about him. Can I stay here again? He asked in a low voice. Tonight is Friday night, so yes, You don't have to leave so early in the morning, you know. We always make breakfast in the morning. Marinette smiled, feeling his shaken breath in her ear. He leaned out and gave her a nod, letting go of her in the process. That was it? He acted fine now? Was he pretending everything was fine? Was that what he did as Adrian? Cat, where did you put the pillow? He interrupted her. Her eyes darted to her bed, and her face went white. Oh, nowhere! I'll go get you a fresh pillow, Marinette squeaked, trying to climb to her bed to hide the pillow. But Cat jumped up to her bed before she could get to it. His eyes focused on the pillow he slept on, and it matched the rest of her bedspread, but was taken aback when he saw there was a wet stain on it. Were you crying? He asked. She swallowed and played with her fingertips awkwardly. Guess we both had a rough day, he chuckled. I'll make us some hot chocolate. You finish drying off. Marinette smiled. A few minutes later, and Marinette returned with 2 hot chocolates. He sat down on the chase in his usual spot, and she sat beside him, giving him a cup. They both took a few sips in silence, but it was a warm silence. A silence that they both knew wasn't awkward or sad. It was comforting. So, why were you just sitting in the rain? I had a fight, I think, with Ladybug. I don't know what I did to make her so upset, but she ran away crying. After that, I went home and things just got worse. That's why I came here. I'm always happy here. I just needed some happiness on this terrible day, he said, smiling at his chocolate reflection. Why were you crying, Princess? Princess. She loved that nickname that he gave her. Though now, knowing it was Adrian, it did sound a little weird. How could he call her that and say all these things and still just be friends at school? Just a stressful day, Marinette sighed, feeling it would be best to not ruin any more of his day. Cat? She asked. Her eyes darted down to her feet as she took another sip. He turned his head to look at her. Would you like to watch a movie with me while we fall asleep? She asked, pink starting to resonate on her cheeks. A movie? Sure. He smiled, putting his now empty cup down on the side table. Marinette fiddled with her feet as she sipped the remaining of her hot chocolate. I only have my laptop with me, so would you be okay with laying in my bed with me? Marinette's eyes turned to him, her face bright red. Thanks so much for watching. The next chapter will be out soon. Again, if you'd like to stay up to date, go ahead and hit that notification button, and I will see you all in the next chapter. Bye, guys!